Hey guys, this is E-House here today, and we have another video in the garage where I take the opportunity to just relax and discuss a topic while I enjoy a nice cigar and a Diet Dr. Pepper today. Had a rough night last night, don't even want to look at anything alcoholic. But let's talk about a subject that I recently saw firsthand some people have some trouble with. I was asked by a local friend who is involved with Lion Claws to staff Operation Irene. And that was last weekend. It was a great time, a lot of fun, met a lot of good people, had a lot of memories made with some friends and some new friends and some of the guys involved in that. But one of the biggest things that I took away from that is some people who volunteer to do this kind of thing, some people who go to large MILSIM games and offer to be staff don't really know what to expect. And I've seen this at small local MILSIM games. I've seen this at big national MILSIM games where people who go into staff kind of get in over their head, don't really know what they're expected to do, don't really know what they should be, how they should be prepared. So let's talk about that. One of the biggest things with staffing a large airsoft game, or any kind of airsoft game really, and I've seen this through a lot of years of experience, is you need to be willing to set aside your desire to play. That is one of the biggest mistakes I see made. A lot of guys offer to be staff, but want to do staff in a way that they're still playing. And playing staff has a place and it has a purpose. But playing staff need to honestly be some of your most experienced and dedicated staff. People who are willing to set aside their competitive instincts in order to provide the best experience for the players. Because as a staff, you're not a player. You probably did not pay to go, and actually I would hope you didn't pay to go. But if you are staffing, you need to set aside all your desire to play to win. You need to set aside your desire to really play it all. You're going to be doing a lot of grunt work. You're going to be working. You're going to be doing parking. You're going to be running registration. You're going to be running chrono. You're not going to have time or downtime usually to put your shit on and go play. That's just not how it works. You need to be able to just go and know that you're going to be doing grunt work, know that you're going to be staffing. And that it goes for if you're staffing at a local game where it's your local field, for example, River City. If you offer to staff at River City, you need to understand staffing isn't playing. You're probably not going to be getting much trigger time, if any at all. Then, in addition to that, you also need to be prepared to play any role. I know I said staff isn't playing, but certain things within the game might call for role players. They might call for certain positions on either team. They might call for opposing force or op for. So you need to bring enough of a variety of clothing and uniform and gear that you will be able to, at the drop of a hat, go swap out and say, hey, we need an op for this Frago, so maybe this will be the little time to get some trigger time, like 20 minutes out of a weekend. Hey, we need an op for this Frago, go put your stuff on, go do that, everyone else is busy. Or you might get told right after that, hey, glad you had fun doing op for that Frago, but we need more red shirts or more staff to go ref over here and go do this kind of stuff. So you need to be ready to, at the drop of a hat, take off your chest rig, take off your role-playing gear, put on your red shirt and your reffing uniform, and go do staff stuff, go clean up a mess, or go just watch an area that people are complaining about. It's a lot of clothes. It's a lot of costume changes. You're like a pop star at a concert. You're gonna be changing your costume a lot, but it's easier if you're prepared. So make sure you go. So for example, at Irene, they asked us to have a blue UN shirt. They asked us to have a red staffing shirt. They asked us to have uniforms for both teams, and they asked us to have 90s era Somali looking clothing in case we needed to drop in to do civilian role play or op for. So you need to be ready to, at any moment's notice, play one of 6 or 7 roles, and within each of those might be a different role. So for staffing, you might get posted. What I spent a lot of the weekend doing was we were sharing the MUTC, the AO, with a search and rescue dog training. So I was posted just chilling on this road that was right by where the dogs were training, just making sure players knew, hey, you know, there's a no fire zone, you can walk through here, keep your gun down, barrel pointed at the ground, safety on, all that kind of stuff. And you're gonna be doing a lot of that kind of grunt work. You're gonna be doing a lot of stuff that isn't glorious, isn't fun, but that's what you volunteered for. So just be prepared for that. Props, you're gonna be doing a lot of prop staging. You're going to be expected to know the field. You're gonna be expected to know the layout. You're gonna need to be able to, again, at the drop of a hat, go anywhere and do anything. You are essentially a jack of all trades. Every staff member has to do it. And this goes, again, for any type of game. Whether you be, again, volunteering at Hunters Creek or River City as a staff member, we're gonna want to be able to say to you, hey, we need to place this prop at building 11 in the town. You need to know where building 11 is. You need to know what town we're referring to. So it's a lot of knowledge comes into play. And even if you've never been to the AO before, you can help yourself by studying a map, reading the warlord or reading the rule set and the documentation for the game, and by just listening and asking a lot of questions. And that's also going to be really important, is if you're staffing, don't be afraid to not know all the answers. While, again, reading and knowing the full rule set should be pretty basic, if you're gonna have questions, things are gonna come up. I recommend printing out and carrying the full rule set, the full warlord, anything else. I recommend printing and carrying a physical copy or having an electronic copy on your phone, not reliant on a data connection, like saved on screenshots, and make sure your phone's charged. And then have a radio, because if you have a question and you can't answer it with your printed documentation or with what's on your phone, then you need to be able to bring it up the chain. Don't just make up rules. We've seen this at a lot of games where staff guys will think they know the rules a lot better than, well, they'll think they know the rules a lot better than they actually do know the rules. And a simple passing it up the chain would have answered a question really easily, but people don't do that. So you need to be able to pass things up the chain, and you need to be able to admit when you don't know something, and know who might know something. Pay attention to the chain of command, pay attention to how the whole thing is structured. So for example, at Irene, if I had a question about the rule set, I would go on the radio and call up to one of 3 or 4 people who were basically the demigods of the rule set, and I would call up and say, hey, player has X question, do you have Y answer? And I would always get an answer, because if you can pass it up the chain well, then you can solve your problem. And again, I had players ask me about uniform code when I was running registration, and I had a printed copy of the warlord. So I was able to sift right through the uniform page and say yes or no on whatever they were asking. Printed copy of rules, or hard copy in some capacity, or an electronic copy that you can access without a data connection. All vital. So that's my recommendation. Be prepared with that. A map is also very important. To quote the old Jim Sterling meme, helps to have a map. So having a map, let's knock that over. Having a map is going to, again, help you know the field, help you know the layout. And the biggest, one of the things that really is going to set aside a good staff member from a bad one is be reachable. Be good with your comms. We've seen at various games that we've been to from various people at various fields, the biggest thing that will make people frustrated with you as a staff member is if you can't be reached over comms. Because if you have a radio and you're not answering, or you're not calling things up as they should be, you're not relaying information, that's gonna make people really mad at you, and for good reason. You need to have your comms on point. It is more important as a staff member than as a player to have good comms. More important. And I think comms are vital at certain types of games. But like I said, it is more important as a staff member, because you are there to provide an experience for the players. You are there to make sure the game runs smoothly. And a game can't run smoothly if half the people on the field have no idea what's going on and the other half aren't answering their comms. So you need to be willing to do that. And just have fun with it. I know everything I've said sounds very serious. I know everything I've said sounds very intimidating, but staffing can be fun. If you don't take yourself too seriously, if you don't take the game too seriously, and if you are willing to just find your own ways to have fun as a staff member, you know, whether that be just talking with some of the other staff guys when you get downtime, talking with some of the players when they're walking back dead or something, you can have fun with it. And there's a lot of good times to be had, especially when the game's over, before and after. There's a lot of ways you can have fun, and hanging out with a lot of the guys at Lion Claws was a lot of fun. It was really great. You know, Greg Brothers is he's a crazy dude. Same with some of the other guys there. So you do meet a lot of interesting characters. You do get to have a lot of fun. So and this goes for, again, at River City, when I staff at River City games. For me, I usually do team lead staff, but again, as team lead, even as team lead staff, as player staff, you need to be willing to set aside your competitive instincts. I will call up and say, hey, you know, X, Y, or Z is happening. Do you need us to do X, Y, or Z to make the game run more smoothly? And I know a lot of people from River City are probably hearing this and they're like, oh, you traitorous bastard, but that's what you have to do. You have to make sure the game is running smoothly. You have to make sure that everyone's having fun. So as team lead, I might be able to be captured. I have to be willing to sit for half an hour to an hour, if not more, and just be a prisoner, because that's my role, that's my job. But again, it can be fun, because when you're role playing as a prisoner, you get to have escape attempts, and you can ask some of the guys from River City about one of my escape attempts that I made. That was a lot of fun. So have fun with it, you know, and know what you're getting into. Be prepared to get into what you're getting into, and find your own ways to have fun. Those are the best things I can recommend to you if you're thinking of doing staff at any kind of game, especially a large or continuous Milsim game. Just be ready for anything. Be ready to do any kind of staff job. Have all the uniforms, have the warlord and the rules and everything printed out. And so yeah, that's my recommendation on how you can be a good Milsim staff member. So, this is Z-House. I'm going to finish out this Davidoff Nicaragua. It is quite tasty, and I will see you next time. Signing off.